Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Thank you for coming, and I'm glad that you're all here. It's going to be a great day, and we're going to talk about a guy that you probably never heard of too much, but maybe you have, Sir Walter Raleigh. He was one of them guys that came, he was an Englishman, and he came to the Americas to set up colonies and things like that. So tonight we're gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of time introducing everything and doing stuff, but thank you for coming. I appreciate everything and taking your time to listen to me and find out some fun facts. And while we're doing the fun facts, we got a great slideshow of lots of things going on, and we're gonna get right on to that too. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little screen sharing with you, and we're going to see what we can come up with tonight. Okay, and here we go. And here's Sir Walter Raleigh. Raleigh was it was also spelled Ralegh. That was the English spelling. He was born in 1554. We'll just say he died around October 29th, 1618. He lived a pretty good long life, you could say. He was an English adventurer and writer. He was a favorite of the Queen Elizabeth I, who knighted him. That's why he's the Sir. He knighted him in 1585, accused of treason by the Elizabethan successor James I. He was imprisoned in the Tower of London. We'll learn all about that. And eventually put to death. Raleigh was a younger son of Walter Raleigh of Ferradell, Devon. He was the third wife of Catherine Gilbert way back in the day. Skip through some of this. And Queen Elizabeth, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You know, stuff you didn't want to know. Well, anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go right to some of this. Who was this guy? Raleigh's policies towards Spain did not recommend him to Pacific James. Oh, James did not like him. We're going to read some from a book I got from holds a powerful feelings had been Raleigh's side ever since 1603, and after 1618, his occasional writings were collected and published. So not only, see, like most of these adventures, they were writers. They went out and they took documents and they wrote, like Lewis and Clark. Raleigh survives an interesting and enigmatic personality rather than his force in history. He's either a hero or a scoundrel. His vaulting imagination, which could savage both North and South as English territory, and supported by considerable practical ability, persuasive pen, the power of the pen. See, that's what we're here to find out. Some 560 lines of verse in his hand are preserved. They address the Queen as Cynthia and complain of her unkindness, probably reference to his imprisonment in 1592. So, yeah, I would be pretty mad if I was imprisoned. And here he is. This is Sir Walter Raleigh. Probably in his better years before he was in prison. Raleigh taking leave of his family, probably to go on an adventure. There was a thing about him throwing his cloak for the Queen as he stepped over a puddle and he laid down his cloak. Okay. There's them setting sail and they're Indians. He made it to America. And the lost colony of Roanoke. Who hasn't heard of this? That was Sir Walter Raleigh's doing. Here's him, making plans with his fellow Englishmen, trading with the Indians, trapped in the Tower of London. There he is with his son, trapped in the Tower of London. And of course, as I said, he was beheaded. How fun. They even made a drink after him. Yep, Sir Walter Raleigh drink. And you could smoke his tobacco. I guess there's him with his son. And with the Queen. So, fun facts of all of that. So we're going to get back to here and find out what is really going on with Sir Walter Raleigh. There, this guy. Now, I am going to stop sharing and show you what I've been reading. I got this book here. It's called American Explorers. And I found this book, and it is pretty old book, too. As you know, I like to collect these old books. This is Stories of American Explorers, historical reader from 1911. I noticed copyright 1906. I noticed if you go back in time and you happen to read the older books, you find a lot of stuff that you normally don't find in the regular books we have now. So we're going to read from this book. I'm going to try to keep it as fast and as short as I can. And we might skip over a few spots, but we got the gist of it. So we're going to go back to share so you can see some of the screen. Share screen. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so here we are. One of the most foremost Englishmen that lived in the time of Drake and Hawkins was Walter Raleigh. He was born in 1552 in the seacoast town of southern England and belonged to a family of high social rank. He was a handsome lad of high spirits and fond of all sorts of outdoor life. But he was especially interested in stories of adventure, as they were told by old sailors of his time. One of the sailors, Sir Humphrey Gilbert, was a famous explorer. He told about his own adventures and also perhaps about the daring voyages of Hawkins and Drake. These stories stirred the imagination of the active, restless boy. We know little about his early life or his early years, but we are told that he went to the University of Oxford, possibly when only 14 years of age, and remained there for 3 years. But world of action attracted him more than a quiet life of college. So he was out finishing his courses of Oxford. He went to France and joined the Huguenot army, who were fighting their fellow countrymen, the Catholic party in France. There he remained about 6 years, and then went to Holland to join the Dutch, who were at war with Spain. In this ceaseless campaigning, he mastered the art of war and at the same time learned, like Drake, to hate Spain. During the remainder of his life, he did all that he could to humble the power of the hauntingly nation. In 1578, he joined his half-brother Sir Humphrey Gilbert in an expedition to Newfoundland. Here, he hoped to plant a colony, and from there he sailed and discovered the northwest passage to China. But having put to sea, they were attacked by Spaniards, and after a loss of one of their ships and more or less damage to others, they were obliged to return home. After the failure of this expedition, Raleigh, put in command of 100 men, went to Ireland to fight against the rebellion there. He distinguished himself as a brave soldier. Sir Walter, on his return from Ireland, Raleigh, who was now about 27 years of age, had an opportunity to show a marked courtesy to Queen Elizabeth. One day, as the Queen, with her attendants, was about to cross a muddy road, Raleigh chanced to be standing near. On seeing the Queen hesitate, he took from his shoulders his beautiful velvet cloak and spread it across the way for Her Majesty to walk upon. This act of gallantry at once ensured the friendship of the Queen. Raleigh soon became one of the greatest favorites. In appearance, he had much to recommend him. He was tall, of shapely figure and handsome features, with dark hair and high color, and eyes that were impressive and piercing. In conversation, he was brilliant and witty. His dress at court was rich and splendidful. Some of his clothing is described to us. On his hat he wore a pearl-covered band and black jeweled feather. His shoes were tied with white ribbons, where ornamented with jewels worth 6 1,600 pieces of gold. On some occasions, he wore a suit of armor made of silver. It was quite the fashion in those days for rich men as well as women to dress in this gorgeous manner. Queen Elizabeth herself owned 1,075 dresses decked with jewels of great value and 80 wigs of various colors. You can easily believe that Raleigh was a very rich man. The queen made him rich because she was fond of him. She gave him large estates and offices of trust that paid him large sums of money. She also gave him permission to control the sale of special articles of trade, broadcloth for insurance, or for instance, and wines in order that he might further his enrich himself. Raleigh's wish to plant a colony in America. So now he's going to go to America. Although so lavishly supplied, Raleigh did not spend his money altogether foolishly. As a rule, he knew how to apply it in good purposes. As the story goes on, you will find that we, to today, owe him much attempts for he made to establish an English colony in this country. In order to carry out this plan, which was very near his heart, he got permission from the Queen to make discoveries and take possession of lands not already occupied by the Christian prince. He wished to plant a colony in the country north of Florida. For England claimed this land because of the Cabots were the first men to discover the mainland of North America. Already, before Raleigh's time, efforts had been made to settle it, but they were unsuccessful. Now, in 1584, Raleigh fitted out 2 vessels, which he sent over to the New World to find out something about the country. The men in charge of these vessels brought back Raleigh as products of the expedition: 2 Indians, some skins of wild animals, and a string of pearls that were as big as large peas. They said they found the Indians in the country friendly and the country itself beautiful. Altogether, they gave so glowing an account of the land they had seen that Queen Elizabeth said it should be called Virginia, in honor of herself, the Virgin Queen. The next year, Raleigh sent out a colony of 180 persons. Sir Richard Grenville was the commander of the fleet, and Ralph Lane was the governor of the colony. They landed on Roanoke Island. The colony met with great misfortunes. They treated the Indians harshly and soon got their ill will. I think you will agree that they deserved it. The story is told that when the Indians stole a silver cup from the colonists, they punished the tribe by burning not only their corn, but the entire Indian village. Such cruelty, of course, made the Indians hate the white men. But the ill will of the natives was not the only trouble the colonists had. Provisions ran short, and Grenville sailed to England for more. During his absence, Lane started out to explore the Roanoke River, of which he had heard wonderful tales from the Indians. They said that this stream flowed through the rich land with minerals, and with that its waters came out of a fountain so near the South Sea that in time of storms the waves broke over into the fountain. They also said that near the stream was a town with walls made of pearls. But Lane and the men who went with him found no such fountain. They found no such town. On the contrary, they endured great hardships and suffered so much from want of food that they had to eat dog meat to keep from starving. When Lane returned, everybody felt discouraged, and the future looked gloomy enough. But about this time, Drake, who was on his way to England with a large fleet, arrived and anchored near Roanoke Island. On hearing of the condition of the colonists, he offered to leave a part of his fleet with provisions. But when a heavy storm came up, all colonists declined that they wished to return to England. Offered to leave, but when a heavy storm came up, all colonists decided that they wished to return to England. So they wished to return. Drake took them all aboard, and they sailed for home. They had found no gold, but they carried to England something that had quite as much value as gold and precious stones, tobacco, white potatoes, and Indian corn. The amusing incident is told in connection with the early use of tobacco in England. Raleigh himself was one of the first to learn to smoke. He procured for himself a pipe of silver shaped. See, they're trading with the Indians. And let's go to the smoking. There you go. That's why he's a smoker. He procured for himself a pipe of silver shaped like the pipes used by the Indians. One day, shortly after he had begun to smoke, a servant came into his room. Seeing the smoke coming from his master's mouth, the man supposed Raleigh was on fire and hastily approached him, threw a tankard of ale into his face. But long before the first cargo of tobacco and other products had arrived in England, in fact, only 2 or 3 weeks after it had left Roanoke with Drake, Grenville returned with provisions. Finding the island deserted, he left 15 men, and he himself returned to England. So, Raleigh was one of the first men to bring tobacco back, and nobody would be a smoker today if it wasn't for this guy. Well, probably not. Somebody would have been somebody else. In 1587, a second colony under John White sailed from England for Roanoke. This colony contained, let's see if we can go back to here, contained 150 men, 70 women, and 11 children. Raleigh himself wished to join the colony, but the Queen would not allow him to leave her court. He directed that the colonists should make a settlement at Chesapeake Bay after his first landing at Roanoke Island to find the 15 men left there by Grenville. The company landed at Roanoke but could not find the men. After staying there a while, the sailors refused to sail to Chesapeake because the summer was far spent. The colonists were therefore obliged to remain in Roanoke Island. Like the first colony, they were harsh in their treatment of the Indians and began to have troubles with them. Very soon, too, their provisions began to fail, and they begged Captain White to go to England for fresh supplies. Unwillingly, he consented, for he did not like to leave the colonists, nor did he wish to separate himself from his little granddaughter, Virginia Dare, who was the first white child born in the New World. So, if you want to know who that was, Virginia Dare was the first white child. He reached home just as his countrymen were preparing to meet the great Spanish fleet that was coming to attack England. The fleet was called the Spanish Armada. For her defense, England needed all the ships that her seamen could muster. The fleet, therefore, which Raleigh fitted out for the colony, had remained at home. It was almost 3 years before Captain White could return to Roanoke. He sailed then, not on his own vessel, but as a passenger, on a merchant ship bound for the West Indies. When he reached the Roanoke, the only traces he could discover of the missing colonists were some chests of books and some maps. When Captain White had gone to England 3 years before, the colonists had agreed that if they should leave the place for any reason, they would cut into a bark of a tree the name of the place which they were going. If they were in distress, they would cut a cross above the name. Captain White found Croton cut into the tree in capital letters, but he found no cross. Now Croton is the name of an island near Roanoke. White therefore urged the captain of the vessel to carry him to the island, but as the weather had become stormy, the captain refused to sail farther. What became of the lost colonists no one has ever learned. Years afterwards, however, it is discovered that 4 men, 2 boys, and 1 girl had been adopted into the Indian tribe. The rest of the colonists were probably killed by the Indians. Raleigh sent out 5 expeditions in search of his lost colony, but without success. So, lost colony of Roanoke, apparently the Indians took them. No big secret there. It was a strong desire to make New England in America. It was the great purpose of his life. In his attempts to plant a colony in the New World, he spent a sum that would now equal $2 million. Raleigh's misfortunes. Yeah, so he did some trading with the Indians, and then we don't want to go that far. He's getting planning. See, he was planning, and we're going to go to this one. Misfortunes. Thus, Raleigh attempted to colonize North America, but he was a restless man and always had some plan to work out. He especially desired to find a northwest passage to China. He also was strongly bent on capturing Spanish vessels and plundering Spanish settlements on the coast. He was eager to find the El Dorado, or land of gold, for which De Soto and others great leaders had sought. In 1595, therefore, he sailed to Guinea, where this land, rich in gold and gems, was then supposed to be, and went up the Oricon River, several hundred miles from its mouth, and gave up the search. But he found Indians, and when he wrote an account of his travels after his return, he repeated the stories told by them of the wealth of a rich city whose people sprinkled gold dust on their bodies. He also told of a tribe of Indians with eyes in their shoulders and mouths in their chests. These great exploits and tales of supposed discoveries doubtless made Raleigh famous, but as might be expected, a man enjoying so much of the Queen's favor and having so much power had many jealous rivals. Moreover, Raleigh himself did not make friends easily. He was proud and haughty, that he not always courteous in manner. Sometimes he was harsh in speech. Queen Elizabeth, however, continued to favor him until he secretly married one of her beautiful maids of honor. And then, because of this offense, she threw him and his wife into prison for 2 months. She afterwards let them have their freedom. When Queen Elizabeth died, James I became King of England. Not being friendly to Raleigh, he had him tried and convicted for treason and confined to the Towers of London for 12 years. Raleigh obtained his freedom by promising King James a large quantity of gold if he would allow him to go to Guiana, for Raleigh could not forget the land, rich in gold and gems, that he had once sought on the banks of the Oricon River. And the following year, therefore, he sailed from England with a fleet of 11 vessels. After a voyage of about 6 months, he reached the island of Trinidad on the coast of Guinea. But he was suffering from a severe attack of fever. He himself could not journey farther. Hence he remained in Trinidad and set his fleet up the river under the command of his son and trusted officer. And here is his son, right? Nope. Sorry. Where is his son? I got a son picture. Yeah, there is his son. Oh, there we go. There's his son. It was expected that they would find the mine, but they did not. Instead, they fell in with a force of Spaniards with whom they fought a battle. They lost many men, Raleigh's son being among the slain. As Raleigh's health was not strong, as conditions were against further exploring, he returned to England a disappointed man. On his arrival, by order of the king, he was again arrested and thrown into prison because he had broken the peace with Spain. After remaining in prison for a short time, he was beheaded in 1618. There you go. When he ascended the scaffold, he felt the edge of the axe, and there remarked, "This is sharp medicine, but a sound cure for all diseases." Thus died Sir Walter Raleigh, the foremost man of his time. He was a soldier, a sailor, and a poet, and a historian. He did well whatever he attempted, and he has a lasting claim upon our remembrance. So there you go. Beheaded at the end. And a sharp axe is a cure for all diseases. Ha! Go figure. Go figure. Okay, well, everybody, I hope you like that. It's been fun reading from that book. What did we learn from all of this? When your head gets too big, and your goals are stretched out and you have failure, you shouldn't give up. I guess no matter what happened in his life, he just kept plowing along, and trying to make gains. I guess he did his best. I guess he was a warrior, and in the end, he took his punishment with dignity. Did he probably deserve it? Who knows? I'm not the judge of that. But even so, regardless if he died or not at the hest of an axe, he lives on in memory with a lot of things. He set up colonies, went places. He was a great adventurer, an orator, and a writer. So with that, if these guys could do that way back then, you can do it too. We all have a pen and paper. Take your pen and paper, put your thoughts down. Someday you might be famous, and there'll be somebody like me reading about you too. Go out and do something. And if you don't do that, just go out and wave to your neighbor. At least they'll remember you. In times gone by, they'll say, that guy that lived in that house was really nice. That guy I met on the street, he was really nice. It just made my day, changed my life. So go out and be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. I love you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Catch you next time. Peace, everybody.